We start with mystery over the whereabouts of Wagner Group mercenary boss Yevgeny Prigozhin. Belarus's leader, Alexander Lukashenko, says Prigozhin is in Russia and not Belarus, as he previously claimed. The Wagner boss hasn't been seen in public since last month's failed rebellion, and he marched an armed column of troops on Moscow. The Kremlin says it is not following his movements. Let's get more on this from our correspondent, Roman Goncharenko. Welcome, Roman. Are you any clearer on Prigozhin's whereabouts?
Well, no, and it appears like Mr. Prigozhin would be changing his whereabouts, so he's traveling. It appears to be that he's traveling, and according to the Belarusian leader Alexander Lukashenko, he is in Russia now. Where exactly, we don't know, but it looks like he's traveling between Russia and Belarus, somewhere between maybe St. Petersburg, his hometown, and maybe some town in Belarus where he was supposed to go and where his Wagner mercenaries were supposed to go. But they are not there, as far as I understand. What is important is that Mr. Prigozhin appears to be traveling freely, more or less. So he's not stopped somewhere, so he can move relatively freely. And it looks like, the second important thing is, it looks like he's sorting things out. So he's wrapping up his business empire. He's sorting out things with his mercenaries. Where will they go? It is still unclear. So at this stage, we have more questions than answers about him.
Meanwhile, the Russian news agency Izvestia has published pictures showing what they say was a raid on Prigozhin's mansion. And what more do you know about that? Well,
yes, I've seen those pictures of that mansion and what is inside. Those pictures went all over the internet, and the Telegram channels close to Prigozhin said that that was an obvious attempt of the Russian authorities to discredit Mr. Prigozhin, to show him as a kind of a millionaire. But they say that the pictures actually helped Mr. Prigozhin because, according to that Telegram channel very close to Prigozhin, that there was not so much gold as you would expect of someone who is very, very rich. Actually, it just showed that he was a patriot, that he had all those medals. He's a hero of Russia. So they are trying to say that basically nothing new there, and it's an obvious attempt of the Kremlin through propaganda to distract attention from the real problems and the conflict between the Russian army and the Prigozhin mercenaries.
OK. Let's talk about the Prigozhin mercenaries, because the Belarusian leader, Alexander Lukashenko, has said that he would sign a contract with them if they came to Belarus. Are people taking that claim seriously?
Well, I would be cautious with that claim because things are really, really changing. It is absolutely unclear how will this story end. Lukashenko said at the very beginning that he's ready to host the Prigozhin mercenaries, but he then said that they would not stay there for long, and it was not unclear where. He said, just the last thing he said was that he offered them an old Soviet military facilities, but they were not happy with them. So, as far as I understand, there are not many, if at all, any Prigozhin mercenaries in Belarus at this moment. So they are still looking for an opportunity. Where would they go? Prigozhin people themselves are hinting that they might be returning someday to Ukraine to fight against Ukraine. So a lot of movements. At the same time, we hear information that Prigozhin people are somewhere in Africa, because they have a lot of people outside of Russia and Ukraine, so on different continents, in the Middle East and in Africa especially, and some of them are there. And it wouldn't be surprising if Mr. Prigozhin would appear next day somewhere in Africa.
Right, they do get about, don't they? Thanks for taking us through that. DW correspondent Roman Goncharenko.